Hey guys, Bice Bump here, bringing you this 9.1 Unholy Death Knight Beginner's Guide. Today I'll cover essentially everything you need to know as a beginner playing Unholy Death Knight. This includes talents, rotations, consumables, legendaries, domination sockets, and more. This is all very direct. There will be no big explanations, there will be no discussion or anything. I will just tell you exactly what you need to know. So for any of the more in-depth stuff, do stay tuned for videos. I will do some stuff like an advanced rotation guide, all those kind of things. Also, this means that, for instance, I won't be covering all the different talent combinations in the rotation guide. Talents that aren't used simply won't be covered here. Anyway, let's just run straight into it. For talents, we have the normal raid build up here. We can opt in to swap all reserve for clawing shadows, especially when we have intermittent cleave, or when we run stuff where we have lots of downtime. From the other class, we essentially pick up the clawing shadows build and just run that every single time. It works very well, and I personally run it everywhere. When it comes to the rotation, we have three, or you can say four core spells. We got Festering Strike, Scorch Strike, Death Coil. What we do is that we build Festering Wounds using Festering Strike. We aim to use Festering Strike whenever we're at 3 or less wounds. The wound equilibrium is at 3 wounds. We use Scorch Strike to pop these wounds, and then we use Death Coil to spend the runic power we generate. We use Epidemic in AoE scenarios when there are 3 or more targets. The crucial bit about this core rotation is that you do not overcap on resources. This means that you should prevent your runic power from reaching 100. You do so by using Death Coil Epidemic to spend it when appropriate. We also want to make sure we always have 3 or more runes recharging. If you have 4 ready, prioritize using a Festering Strike or Scorch Strike. We also have a dot in the form of Virulent Plague. For single target, that is simply applied with your Unholy Blight. Every time it comes up, do not worry that the uptime is not 100%, it doesn't matter. For AoE, whenever we can't apply it with Unholy Blight, do use Outbreak to apply Virulent Plague. But most importantly, for pure single target, there is no need to use Outbreak. It's only when you get adds or in AoE that Outbreaks do see usage. Everything else in the rotation is about cooldowns. We got Unholy Blight and Dark Transformation. Always use them together. They come up every 45-50 seconds or so. Use Blight followed by Dark Transformation. We have Apocalypse. Always use that when you have 4 or more wounds on the target. Do make sure to set up the wounds beforehand, it comes off cooldown. Generally, if you're running Convocation of the Dead and Army of the Damned, which you do a lot, on pure single target you will use Apocalypse with your Blight and Dark Transformation combo. If you, for some reason, misalign it, it's worth to hold it for up to 10 seconds, but if you have more than 10 seconds between your Blight and Dark Transformation and your Apocalypse, just use them on their own. Army, always use with Bloodlust in the opener. If you can get 2 armies, better to use 2 than get 1 with Bloodlust. Importantly, use your army with your other cooldowns, the Blight and Dark Transformation combo, and always use army 5 to 10 seconds beforehand. It takes a couple seconds for the ghouls to get out of the ground. Soul Reaper should be used as much as possible whenever targets are below 35% health. You can use it before they are at 35%, as soon as the trigger, which happens a couple seconds after you use the ability, happens when the target is below 35%. For Mythic Class, a very simple way of looking at this would be pop your cooldowns that you run into a pack, use 2 Festering Strikes, dump your Runic Power Epidemic, pop down Death and Decay, and just spam Clawing Shadows. There's a ton more to it, but this is a beginner's guide, so let's stop right there. For Covenants, we run Necklord for raids, and as kind of a generic Covenant, with the Airmere Soulbind. You can see the tree for Airmere up here. We pick up the Marrow Gemstone, running the double potency, and then you're picking up all the DPS soulbound spells we can get. If you're purely focused on Mythic Class, Venter is a go-to. Covenant, we run the Narja Soulbind, picking up Exacting Preparation in the middle, and then the double potency Conduit. Venter is better for Mythic Plus because Swarming Mist is really quite good with Epidemic Spam. For Legendaries, we run Deadliest Call for single target, put on Mastery Haste as missives, and put your Legendary on the Cloak. For any AoE Cleave or Mythic Plus, it's Frenzied Monstrosity. We use Mastery Crit as your missives, and we put them on the legs. For Consumables, on the weapon we always run Rune of the Fallen Crusader, and Sharpening or Weight Stone. For the Cloak, we put on Fortified Speed, the chest, Eternal Stats, and Heavy Desolate Armor Kit. Gloves, we use Eternal Strength, and rings, the Tenet of Mastery. Obviously, do make sure to sim your set weights to figure out what exactly you want to use for the rings, but most often than not, it is the Tenet of Mastery. When it comes to stats, we have Mastery, Haste, Crit, followed by Verse on single target, and then for AoE, we just do Mastery, Crit, Haste, so the Crit and Haste swap places for AoE. One important aspect here is that you need to consider your raw stat amounts. We usually run the Inscrutable Quantum Device Trinket, and then that matters exactly how many mastery points you do have. So if you're running Inscrutable Quantum Device as you should, make sure that the raw amounts follow the priority I just mentioned. So in single target, you should have the most mastery points, followed by haste points, followed by crit points, followed by versatility points. When it's come to Conduits, Eternal Hunger is by far your best one. Always pick up that as your first one. The second one is either Convocation of the Dead for single target, or any of the Covenant specific conduits for AoE. If you're running triple potency, the third one would be Embrace Death, and if you're running Mythic Class, you can pick up the generic potency conduit as your third one. Shards of Domination is a new system in 9.1. You have raid pieces that drop in raid. They have these specific sockets where you can put on the specific domination shards. You can have a maximum of 5, and it's important that we pick up the right ones. For raid, we go for the Unholy triple set, so we get the Unholy set bonus. We then follow through with the Blood DPS shard, and then the Frost DPS shard. For Mythic Class, the priority is slightly different. We start off with the Frost DPS shard, followed by the Blood one, and then the Unholy. Followed by the Unholy, and then the Blood DPS shard. And then we pick up the Blood tank and healing shards if we do have some extra slots. They're not as important because they don't give DPS throughput, but still good to mention them. For notable gear, let's focus on Trinkets. We have Inscrutable Quantum Device. This is your best trinket. You need to get this as soon as possible. Go and run the other side until it drops, and you're happy because you got the best trinket in 9.1. For the second one, we run Old Warrior Soul, the passive haste trinket, drops from Sylvanas, and it's really quite good for us. For Mythic Class, it's better to pick up the Whispering Shard of Power. It drops some Remnant of the Soul. You can also pick up Overwhelming Power Crystal, which drops from the other side. Also a perfectly good choice for Mythic Class. Right, that was everything I had for you guys today. I hope that was okay, not too fast, but hopefully very condensed and straight to the point. If you have any questions or any comments, do leave them down below. If you want to contact me directly, you can always ping me on the Acros Discord or send me a PM. Always consider subscribing if you want to see more of this kind of content, and leave an upvote to download depending on what you thought about this specific video. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more content. Thank you.